And I want to get out of this. I don't want it on screen. Here's my screen. And in Google Classroom is today's assignment. SLOW is a 4-letter word. This is a piece of nonfiction that I wrote. I spoke with a friend of mine who lives in Perry, Georgia, and he is a COVID-19 survivor. He found out that he was positive with COVID in March, and it wasn't until June that he was actually finally COVID-free. And he shared a lot of his experiences with me, so I asked him if I could take this and turn it into something and write something with it. And he was very amicable and only asked that I use a pseudonym. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open the document. Slow is a 4-letter word. This is our worksheet. So with our worksheet, I open with the diploma style blurb. They usually, in your personal response to literature, they give you a diploma, they give you a little blurb like this. SLOW is a 4-letter word, is a fact-based fiction. In it, Patricia Marie Budd explores one man's determined struggle to survive COVID-19. So before we do anything else, before we do any reading, it is always beneficial to have a pre-reading activity. And in this case, I'm going to ask you to do what I call free fall writing, where you don't think about what you're writing, you just write. Okay, you've got prompt questions to help you. And those of you who can't get into Google Classroom right now, handwrite and take a picture of your work, and then you can submit it through Google Classroom later. This is one of the ways I'm going to try and reduce the paper flow. So if you can't get into Google Classroom to type a response, then handwrite it. I'm going to model this at the same time. Up on the screen, I'm actually going to respond to what we are seeing here. Now, there are basically 3 prompts given to you. What impact has the COVID-19 pandemic had on your life? What emotions do you and the people around you go through? What do you understand about the varying opinions surrounding this global and yet very personal issue? So those are ideas to help you come up with a response. Now, I am going to just model what would be free fall. Something only over the middle-aged women. Oops, I have it. I hate it. So I am responding just right off the top of my head. I know it's changed my life radically. I wear masks everywhere now. I even wear a face shield over the mask in my classroom, and I hate it. Both coverings make me sweat like a woman in menopause. It's just not comfortable, but I have to do it. That's when a woman loses the ability to procreate. Basically, her period stops happening. And I don't know if it's the estrogen in her system or what, but she starts getting really hot. I mean, like my sister was like, you'd go to visit her on a good day, she would only be dripping in sweat. And it's some women, they get so hot, it's unbearable. There was a commercial out there once where this woman had a t-shirt and shorts, was clearly a stormy, blizzardy day out there. She slams open the door, walks out to the air conditioner, rips off the cover, and goes back inside the house because she's so hot. My friend going through menopause, oh my God, staying over at her place was horrid because she turned the air conditioning on in the winter, just like the commercial. Women get extremely hot. And I mean, it's not pleasant. It's just not comfortable. Period. I can't remember what I said before, so now I'm just going to keep going. Let's see. I also had to change the way my classroom looks. I used to have tables set up in group formation, but that is no longer. Okay, I'm going to fix that because I don't like the way it sounds, but I don't care. This is free fall writing. I'm writing the thoughts off the top of my head. I will go back and revise it later. I also used to have a wall full of books. Remember my classroom, Miss Giles? All of the books? You would currently be leaning against a bunch of books right now. That entire wall was book filled. And I had to get them full of books. With COVID-19, all my students are supposed to sit facing the same way. So the books had to go in order to accommodate large classes. I blocked 3 classes, 36 kids in it. Oh my God. So that really bites. So that's what I'm doing. I'm thinking of things. How is it affecting me? What's the next prompt is, what do you, feelings, yourself and others. I'm going to finish this one off. I am not ashamed to admit that I cried. I cried twice. Once when a box of Shakespeare got tossed, and once when the last of the books left my room. Yucky. Some of them. Because I had nowhere to store them at home. And all of the teachers who wanted the books, some of the grade 8 teachers took away probably about a third of the books. The library got a few books. The FNMI liaison got a few books. I added a couple of bookshelves over here so that I could add more books. But I didn't have any room for any more. And my house has been absconded by my husband's small business. He's a luthier. He builds guitars. And so every room that isn't, kitchen and living room and bathrooms, basically those are the only rooms he doesn't own. And our bedroom. Every other room has his luthier work in it. So this is how it's changed my life. Emotions. My husband worries about me constantly. So now my husband's worrying about me. I'm getting into emotions. I got into emotions up above too, but this is now other people. What do they call that? I'm just going to call it the danger zone. So while I'm doing this, you guys type your responses. There. And then I dealt with the varying opinion. I don't agree with anti-maskers. How many words? That's probably around 200 to 250 words. Word count. Oh, 300 words.
Yes, can you go to the top of the question?
Free fall writing. Discover and consider your feelings. What impact has the COVID-19 pandemic had on your life? What emotions do you and the people around you go through? What do you understand about the varying opinions surrounding this global and yet very personal issue? Try not to think too much about this and just dive in. Just let the pencil go against the page. Ideally, the free fall writing, you're not thinking at all. You are thinking, but you're thinking with the part of your brain that isn't imposing. COVID-19, that's the first thing that comes to your head. And jot it in. Well, you guys have been that one time and collect these pins. So start thinking of ways to finalize your ideas, because in 3:15, I want us to move on to the next element of the assignment. Okay, now it's 3:15. We are running out of class time. And I want to have us move on to the curricular component. This is the curricular study. So in our curriculum, you're asked in curriculum 5.1.1c, you're asked to analyze and describe a positive or negative portrayal of characters in literature and persons in life. Now, this is a nonfiction piece. I call it fact-based fiction myself because my friend wanted me to use him as a pseudonym and wanted me to play with the character so that it wouldn't be 100% him. That way, nobody could actually pinpoint it as him. So we're going to look at elements of his character that are positive and elements that are negative. Determine whether the protagonist is a sympathetic character. That is somebody that you care about and you hope for the best for, and you want to know the outcome. I also tried to make this Guy, the pseudonym of my friend's name, I tried to make Guy a little more complex so that there would be elements of his character that show him as a flawed person. Far more interesting if a character has flaws, because we all have flaws, whether we want to admit it or not. So while I'm reading through the story, consider traits that illustrate the positive aspects of humanity and traits that are suggestive of a negative portrayal. And then I want you to reference and explain specific details from the story. For the three of you who can't get on Google Classroom, I will send the story and this worksheet to the printer. Okay, so you can take this home with you if you don't get your assignment done by the end of class. So we need to open SLOW, S-L-O-W, is a four-letter word. And here I acknowledge this is based on the real-life battle of Guy, COVID-19 survivor. This is supposed to have dashes in between it. I'm just going to give a little background in terms of how I went about writing this. My friend is a Facebook friend, so he would message me and tell me what he was going through. And I asked him if I could write this, and he said yes, and so he sent me journal entries about what he went through. And so I took what he said in his journals, and I tried to keep his voice as close as I could while making it literary quality. It's the loneliness, the lack of human contact that hurts the most. I'd give anything for a hug again, but I dare not. If exposed to others, I know this disease will spread even without physical contact. So I am isolating at home in quarantine. It was on the Ides of March when my test result came back positive. The irony. Now, the Ides of March, that's an allusion to the day that Caesar was murdered in the Senate. And in Shakespeare's play, Julius Caesar, he has a soothsayer warning Caesar about the Ides of March. Beware the Ides of March. So that's what this allusion is. It is now April 16th. So from March 15th to April 16th, that's 1 month and a day. The illness spread through me quickly and brutally. I am now at what I hope to be the crisis stage. My temperature has hit 103.8 degrees Fahrenheit and my body aches all over. The racking coughs are the worst. My chest always hurts. I pound on it daily to release the deadly congestion that has settled there, much like the Titanic moored in its eternal dock under the ocean. I know few have made it past this stage, even those who are hospitalized. My friends and family beg me to go in. I'm sick enough. My doctor insists I call for an ambulance if my temperature hits 104 degrees Fahrenheit. My son, Rory, is the most vocal. Do you want to die at home alone? My response is simple. I'd rather die at home alone than in a hospital bed alone. And as for the respirators, I have heard stories of people on them for 3 weeks or more who have perished, and their deaths must have been horrible. I read somewhere the respirator is very painful. That's not how I want to spend the last days of my life. No, sir, not me. If I die on my own terms. Besides, I have no intention of dying. I intend to beat this bitch into submission the same way I beat cancer, the same way I beat triple pneumonia. COVID-19, pah! I plan to conquer you. My son doesn't understand. I wish there were a way to transpose my thoughts to him, but most days I'm just too weary. Still, I find a way to pull myself out of bed, and through sheer force of will, I walk up and down the hallway 100 times. It's hard, but I have to keep moving. Death awaits the stationary. Thank God for my family and friends. Though we fight over my treatment, they are here for me. Without them, I'd have no groceries, no aspirin, or the medications prescribed by my doctor. Even homebound, I see my doctor daily. I set the alarm for 10 a.m. so I don't miss our web chat. During each one, he reminds me to call him if anything changes. Thank God for modern technology. It accommodates stubborn old fools like me. Don't get me wrong. I am no fool. I'm just parroting what Rory says when, as he puts it, I refuse to listen to reason. I just finished a Zoom with Rory. He was shocked at my appearance. What'd you expect? I said. I've been battling COVID for over a month now. He burst into tears and insisted on driving to Perry. I won't let him. No, sir. I sure as hell won't let him risk getting this. Face masks, face shields, scrubs, gloves. I don't care. Whether he is in Perry or Atlanta, we can only ever meet by text, phone, or Zoom. He finally agreed, but he wasn't finished, starting in again on the hospital thing. So I told him, again, I am not going to any damn hospital which is more dangerous to my health. You'll get me there when I'm unconscious and not a second sooner. Dad, your temperature is 103.8 degrees Fahrenheit. So? The doctor told me 104 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm not there yet. I won't be Zooming with Rory again anytime soon. He only gets to see me again when my fever breaks and I'm halfway back to normal. I love the boy, but he is some bossy. No more phone calls with anybody, not even my doctor. It hurts too much to talk. My fever isn't rising, but it isn't dropping either. It is now April 30th, and it's been 103.8 degrees Fahrenheit and holding. I take daily ice baths to keep the fever from rising. Ice isn't cheap when you're using 2 bags a bath twice a day. I do daily breathing exercises. The technique is real easy. Breathe in 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, breathe out 4 seconds. According to a video I watched, some UK doctor, I do this 4 or 5 times, and then, with the next few exhales, I cough the last of the air out as hard as I can. It hurts like hell, but I do it anyway. The doctor prescribed Albuterol, an inhalant, to help. My temperature has finally dropped, 103.2 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the turning point. I still feel like shit, but I am fighting. This is a war, and I plan to win. Me 1, virus 0. I'm going to beat this. I did a forced half-mile wobbly driveway walk. I had to force myself to finish. I followed up by sitting in warm sunlight and drinking some tea to recharge the body and soul. My temperature dropped another 0.03 degrees Fahrenheit. It's now 102.9 degrees Fahrenheit. I still haven't felt that click with a fever break. Shortness of breath is back, and I'm still having to beat my chest and force the lungs with pressured coughing. Sore, but I feel better after doing it. I am not going to give up now. No way, no how. 101.9 degrees Fahrenheit for 2 days. Arrgh! Patience has never been my virtue. Rory called today. I asked him to text. Talking for too long still makes my throat raw. At least the aches are less. I still tire easily, but on the bright side, I am getting my senses back. I lost those about 3 weeks ago. I can finally taste food again. The fever broke early Monday. I felt the body click. I retested and still have the active virus. So for now, the quarantine remains. Pissed off? Of course. I'm getting through it, yes, just not fast enough. SLOW is a 4-letter word. Finally, my average temperature is 99 degrees Fahrenheit. I had my third COVID-19 test on Friday. I'm still waiting for the results. My third test came back. I am now negative, COVID-19 free. It will take time to return to pre-COVID condition, a good 6 months, according to my doctor. I lost a lot of muscle tone. I may be done with COVID-19, but my story isn't over. Recovery and recuperation, 2 words, 2 very different meanings, but it's enough to know I can be in the same room with my son again. I had to condense this because I sent it into a contest and they said under 1,000 words. This is actually a little over 1,000 words, so even some of this isn't in the contest version. But my friend also ended up with bruised lungs. He's lucky that they were only bruised because in some cases the lungs actually die and they have to do a partial lobotomy where they remove part of the lung, or in some cases a full lung transplant. COVID-19, if you go through what this man went through, it can leave you with long-term conditions after. So anyway, when he and I get together and write the novella, there will be more information in the text. So, just a paragraph. Is he sympathetic? Are there more positive aspects to his character? Or are there more negatives? And whichever you choose, so let's say you decide that this guy is just a stubborn, cantankerous old man who won't listen to reason, then you find 2 pieces of evidence for that and 1 piece of evidence for the positive quality. If you think that, yes, he is cantankerous, but wow, what a powerful, determined individual, find 2 pieces of evidence for that and 1 for the cantankerous quality. Okay? 1 paragraph, 3 pieces of support from the story. Those of you who don't have the story, I'm about to print these out for you right now. And before I do anything else, I am going to stop filming.